phase 2, another 12 to 18 months or so. You know, so you're talking 24 to 36 months of construction. Where those, we touched on the construction plan. So will there be big rigs coming in and out of 10th Street, or
so here's again the construction management agreement can detail what you all want. If you don't want those trucks on 10th Street, then you propose that.
Say no trucks.
But I mean, that notwithstanding, if they were able to, again, part of the construction management framework allows for you as a community to say what you're willing to tolerate and what you're not, and that goes into the agreement. Now, the developer would have to say, I can live with this, or I can't build this thing if I can't come in on the street, you know. And maybe you say, okay, fine, but it better be between these hours.
And when is that plan?
That process begins now. I mean, as we take feedback from you all, we can go back and say, okay, look, one of the things that this community will demand of the developer is that there be a construction management agreement in place, right? And so, you know, at a high level, you know, we want to minimize traffic, we want to minimize noise, we want to make certain that there's, you know, a proper consideration for any potential damage that might happen to your home, that go beyond the video and, you know, something more substantive around those things. But all of those things would then be a part of the construction management agreement, and that's a process that the community will negotiate with the developer.
I think the major concern is, do we want 370 whatever people is in our neighborhood? That's the major concern. I understand about the construction, the trucks, the diesel, where they run.
Who cares?
Who cares? Exactly. Who cares? I do not want this in my neighborhood. I don't need to see your plans. I don't need to see anything more. Don't want it. Period. We don't need it. It's already overpopulation of apartment buildings in this area. I mean, why come into my neighborhood and disrupt my way of life?
I don't think it's the apartment buildings, but, you know, because I stay in the very close. I stay in the apartment building. So you have a mass number of people who may not be abreast of what's going on. Over 100 and some people who can have a big say-so as well who lives in the neighborhood, as opposed to a handful of individuals. So it's not so much of the apartment building, because you have working class people, you know, who stay in apartment buildings. So it's not so much of that. But I understand the height and the amount of people that it's going to bring. They're not going so much for the problem.
That's my concern.
Yeah.
That's my number one
That's what we're talking
concern.
about. Number of people. We don't need any more people in this small area. For one thing, the area can be very congested.
Do you know the occupancy rate of Rhode Island Row so far?
I don't.
Have you done studies to see apartment
I think they
occupancy?
have done studies. I mean, there is a market for it, without a doubt. I mean, that's where you start. You don't just build it and hope that they come. You understand the demand.
Could you present
and
those?
which is part of the reason why they would do a phased construction, right? You don't just build 370 units. If there's no market for it, then it behooves them not to build a structure that will have a ton of empty units.
Cool. When we bring up that point, there's only 60% occupancy on the tenants in that building, and there's only about 65 to 70% of the mixed use, so that they don't have tenants in a lot of that. And when you go back to it, and we use Fort Totten was supposed to be a condo project that has now turned into an apartment. They're renting 65% of those condos at Fort Totten as apartments. So they're not at capacity, and I can say this: if we say tonight that this community says we're not in favor of this project, and when it goes before the ANC, that the ANC commissioner notes in the minutes that this community is not in favor, because a great weight is going to come from this commission, not the committee of the whole, is these people who live in favor that said we don't want this, then that's what our ANC commissioner has to take back to the commission of the whole.
But let me, as of this moment, I do not have a resolution to bring to the ANC because, as currently stated, okay, it is a matter of right development and they don't need the ANC's great weight or the zoning commission or anyone else. However, if there are issues that arise in future months with regards to the alleyway, for example, I have a feeling that will come before the ANC, okay? So it would be in that context, but I just want to clarify
Okay,
that.
but
We're not in a
my
position
issue-
where the
right.
ANC.
Well, my issue is was the zoning change done properly for them to bring this to this community? That's my issue. If the zoning was not done properly, then this community has a right to not to take this project.
That's right.
That would be a legal issue, though.
And so
And frankly, it doesn't matter how we vote on that.
right, because then it becomes,
Yeah.
did they come to the community and say to the community, we are going to change the zoning on this property in the same way we're meeting right now, to say, we're going to change the zoning, and did you guys agree to it? And if there's nothing in writing that says we were part of that, then zoning has to now step in, because the law states that you have to, any property or any development is 100 feet from the proposed development. That means everybody has to be notified. And if you call zoning, and if you call 200, and if you call zoning and one or two of y'all did not get that notice, then zoning has to go back and reopen that case. And if they don't stop it, if they don't stop it this way, we can stop it that way.
And the majority, you go in the apartment buildings, and it's over 100 units, they got a notice, so 100 people, no notice.
So, on that point, and I just wanted to thank Commissioner Barry for raising the point about the matter of right. And I try not to use that language because I don't want it to appear that the developer is of the posture that they can just put a shovel in the ground. While that might be the reality, the reason why I'm here is to hear your concerns and to try to make this work in whatever way you can. So, while it is a matter of right, there is a process, and we're actually coming before the ANC, as Commissioner Barrios mentioned. It's not required. The zoning commission is not going to hear anything related to this. They have no jurisdiction over the alley closure. That's not to say that your voices are not important to it, because they are. You've got a council member that you can reach out to. You've got the chairman of the council you can also reach out to and express your concerns. And so they understand that, which is why I'm here. So, that said, there will not be a matter on that alley closure before the zoning commission, and thus they're not going to facilitate a ruling with consideration of great weight.
No, what I meant was that if McDuffie is the one who's ultimately the owner of it, if he reaches out to us, then there will be a process.
Expressing a concern, expressing concerns to the chairman of the council.
Any other question? We do need to wrap up soon because there are folks trying to close up the school. So I would like to just take one or two more questions, and then we're going to do a straw vote. Yes, Ms. Rowland.
I was just wondering how come the developers didn't resist this to us when we did this kind of.
What was it? I couldn't hear.
The question was why we and not the developers? I'll tell you why. Because one, they don't know the community.
None of them ever went to.
I understand, but I'm just telling you the perspective. They don't know the community. They are advised to try to connect with somebody that might understand the community a little better. I do that. I think I add some value and actually bringing back the feedback and helping to make this work. So that's part. Now you will see the development, right? You will see them. They're not
I should serve them tonight. They're coming in our community to bring something. They should come here and face us. They'll get to know us.
Yeah, you can still talk about what they should have had.
Absolutely.
I've never seen anybody ever from a council member or anything present.
I'm not working for council.
Why don't you still work?
You should have.
Okay, thank you.
But point taken, and you will see the developers. This is step one. Step one. Just proposing the project, helping you understand what they're thinking, taking all the feedback back. We will probably have lots of meetings over time. And I want to make certain that we get the project right. And again, please don't take this to be a lightning phrase. The reality is, but for the alley, if they weren't asking for the alley closure, the law provides that they can start construction once they get their permits. And they wouldn't have to come before the community.
Permits are a slow process.
That's the law.
There's many ways to slow down the permits.
You can do that. I'm just saying that's the law. And the goodwill here is let's not do that. Let's make sure we get proper representation to the community. I failed you tonight because I didn't get my slides together with my equipment, but we will do that. I promise you that. Okay? And we'll get a proper presentation. I'll get some renderings to the council, to the commissioner, so that you can share that with the community so you all will see what I've represented tonight. And then in addition to that, we have other representations about the shadows and so forth. And again, what I want to be able to take back are your concerns. And if there is some support for the project with modification, then I'd like to understand what those things are. So setbacks, not as much height, not as much density, whatever those things are, I've captured that feedback. We'll be back before you and try to work this through.
Don't want.
Okay,
And
so,
don't want to.
So first, I would like to encourage everybody who's here, especially because of the problems with the presentation, but also just to show the rest of the community how you feel, as well as the other ANC commissioners, should this come before the commission. I would encourage you in 2 weeks' time, it's the fourth Wednesday of the month, to come to the full body ANC meeting. Okay, and if many of you are on my mailing list already. If you're not, I will, with your permission, add you to that mailing list so you can get the notice. Okay, so you can see where it is. And if your email is not on here, then I'll call you and I'll tell you where it is. But I think it's important.
Where is that community?
It's going to be at LC Stokes.
Where?
LC Stokes on
Something place.
Right behind, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up near the Yes Market. It's LC Stokes Charter.
The 24th, it's a Wednesday.
24th, that's right. On 24th at 6:30, I will be sending out a notice. It will also be on the listservs. And I would encourage people to come so you can see the full presentation.